What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to learn how to use a color picker well in your UIKit based app. So basically, a color well is a new component as of iOS 14. It's this thing right here. When I select it, I get this really cool color well is what Apple calls it, and you can select any of these colors in the different modes. And the coolest thing is that you can see in real time we're changing the view background color. So we'll take a look at this component briefly. What are the properties that it offers to be customized, as well as how to observe for the changed color selection here. So if that all sounds good, make sure you start by smashing that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel and into iOS. That all said, let's get into the video. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get started by opening up Xcode and creating a new project. We're going to stick with the app template under iOS, and let's go ahead and give this project a name of Colorwell. You want to make sure your language is set to Swift, your lifecycle is UIKit, and your interface is Storyboard. We'll be working programmatically, but no Swift UI today. Go ahead and continue, save the project wherever you'd like. And first things first, as soon as Xcode decides to load here, we'll go ahead and close this right panel. I'll expand my window and we'll go and jump into our viewcontroller.swift file. So a color well, like you saw, is the component that allows you to set up a color picker. So you can use this component to customize how your picker looks instead of using the color picker controller that Apple provides. But anyways, let me go ahead and create it here so we can start playing with it a little bit. So we're going to create a color well, and this is a UI color well, just like that. And you can see the description is a control that displays a color picker. And we can go ahead and create it in the anonymous closure pattern here. We can say color well is going to be a UI color well. If you open up the constructor, you'll see you can pass in a frame. But we're not going to do that right now. We'll just create it. Now, there are a couple properties on here that I will talk through. So the first one that we can talk through is, let's go ahead and hit that to get the drop down, is supports alpha. So this one is pretty self-explanatory. Basically, you can specify if the component allows the user to go ahead and select an opacity. So maybe we'll do that. We'll set that to true. And let's go to the next one. So we've got color well. We have a selected. Let's see if we can find it. We've got a selected color on here. This is also pretty self-explanatory. We can basically use it to get the current selected color, and it also, you can use it to set the selected color on the color picker, and it's updated when the user changes it. So you can actually go ahead and take a look at the description here. What it's saying is you can use the value change target on the color picker on the color well, I should say, to figure out, what the new selection is. So we're going to start by saying the color selection by default is a system red. And let's go ahead and make this interesting. So we'll also say the background color by default is going to be a system red. We'll go ahead and add this color well as a sub view. And actually the color well here also, I believe, has a title property that we can go ahead and assign. So we can say color well dot title, and we can go ahead and say this is a color well. And now that we've got the view added as a sub view, let's go ahead and lay it out with a frame. So we'll go ahead and override view did layout sub views. And let's go ahead and give this guy a frame. So I'll go ahead and say colorwell.frame is going to be a CG rect. X will say maybe is 20. Y will say view safe area insets.top. Width will be the entirety of the width minus 40. And maybe the height, we'll go ahead and pick some arbitrary number, perhaps like 300 or 350, really up to you. Let's go ahead and give this a run to actually see what our color picker or color well, I keep saying color picker, actually looks like. So we'll do that, and then we'll actually work on listening to that selected color property once it changes. So just bear with me here, and we'll take a look. Hopefully our color picker decides to show up, or color well, I should say. All right, simulator being slow because it knows I'm recording a video, so why wouldn't it be? We should see our background as red, and we should see a color picker here. So color pickers are interesting. This is one thing that I wanted to discuss here is we gave it a pretty large frame, but you can see that it's this small thing at the top up here. So what the heck is happening? When I select it, it opens the color picker, but normally it's not showing anything up here. So why is that? So the way we can visualize what's actually going on is let's set a background color to our color picker. We'll say system, maybe we'll go with system blue so it has a nice contrast here. And if we take a look at what's going on, the size that we gave the color picker is actually correct. The problem is, in fact, that the color well actually is a component that you can tap on, and once you tap on it, it'll actually go ahead and open up the UI that you see right here. So you don't actually add this directly, and the title also applies on the well right here. So this is actually, just to give a little bit of context, something that was introduced in iOS 14 with Swift UI. So this is the UIKit supported version of it. So let's go ahead and get rid of the blue color here. Or maybe we'll leave it, and what we'll actually do instead is let me go ahead and make the height something more appropriate, like 50. And let's also go ahead and start observing when the value changes of the selected color, because we want to change our background color. So what we can do per the documentation is we can say on the color well, go ahead and add a target of self, and we'll add the action in a second, but we want to know when the value changes for that selected color. Let's go ahead and create a function down here. It's going to be private func, and we'll go ahead and say color changed. And we don't really even care about a sender, if I'm being honest down here. All we could do actually in here is say, we can say selector color changed. And now down here, we can just assign the view's background color to the color well's selected color, because presumably this function was called once that property has changed, so we should see the color reflected. So if I click on this, it'll open this up. We'll pick one of these bright colors, and you can actually see that it actually is in fact changing in the background there. So looking pretty slick. Now, the last thing I'll talk about here is there is a color picker controller that you can go ahead and present if you want to have a custom button. But we can click into the color well here to see if there's anything else on here that you wanted to customize. So, you know, you've got a title here, you've got a support, alpha, which we talked about, selected color. These are the three properties Apple does expose, nothing else on here yet. Keep in mind that this is a newer component as of iOS 14, but you don't have to bring in any third-party or custom, components at this point, which is really nice because there's a lot of libraries and, Cocoa Pods out there to do this stuff, but it's nice that Apple built a component. And if you take a look here, you can actually change the selection style. I prefer personally the spectrum here because it's kind of cool. You can actually click and drag around or tap and drag your finger around, and you see it changing real time in the background, which is pretty nice. So that's all I've got for you guys today. This is a color well live and in action. Definitely a really cool component. Let me know down below if you plan on using it or if you use it already. If you haven't liked the video yet and you found it helpful, definitely destroy that like button down below. Helps out a ton. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you're into iOS. I try to post daily here. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.